Hey everyone and welcome back. Get ready because today we're doing a deep dive into basketball, specifically the legend himself, Tim Duncan. A name that's basically synonymous with the San Antonio Spurs and a whole era of the NBA.
You know what's so fascinating about Duncan is how his journey to the NBA almost didn't happen. This wasn't some kid dreaming of basketball stardom from day one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was actually a swimming prodigy, breaking records in the Virgin Islands, had his sights set on the Olympics. Can you even imagine Tim Duncan, Olympic swimmer?
Whoa, that's wild. I had no idea about the swimming background. That's a huge plot twist.
Right, but then Hurricane Hugo hits, destroys the only Olympic-sized pool on the whole island.
Oh, wow.
So Duncan's forced to train in the ocean. But get this, he has a fear of sharks, which, pretty understandable. And that basically puts a stop to his swimming career. It's like fate had other plans.
So Hurricane Hugo and a fear of sharks pushed him toward basketball. Crazy how these random events can, totally change your life. But I'm guessing he was a natural on the court, right?
Not quite. From what I read, he was pretty awkward at first. But then a tragedy strikes. His mom passes away from cancer just before his 14th birthday. And his brother-in-law, Ricky Lowry, who had played college ball himself, saw basketball as a way for Duncan to, channel his grief, his energy, his focus. And that's when things started clicking.
Man, that's a powerful turning point. To go from swimming to dealing with such a loss and then finding that outlet in basketball. It speaks to his resilience.
For sure. And that resilience, it stayed with him throughout his career. By senior year of high school, he's averaging 25 points a game. That's when the college scouts really started paying attention. He ends up at Wake Forest. And even then, there were doubts. Coach Dave Odom, he wasn't sure how this kid from a small island would handle top-tier competition.
I bet Odom learned pretty quickly to eat his words.
Oh, absolutely. Duncan leads the Demon Deacons to 4 straight 20-win seasons. Think about that. 4 years, guaranteed success. That's the kind of consistency Duncan brought to the game. 2 ACC titles, 3-time All-American, and his stats. Mind-boggling.
Okay, give me the stats. I'm ready.
Over 2,000 points, 1,500 rebounds, almost 500 block shots. Basically averaging a double-double almost every single game. It's unheard of at the college level.
He was a statistical monster. But what's interesting, even with those numbers, he wasn't flashy. He was known for his quiet efficiency. Didn't he even get a nickname because of that?
You're thinking of Mr. Spock. Opposing fans gave him that one because he was so effective, fundamentally sound, but never showy about it. And get this, he achieved the only official triple-double in Wake Forest history. 14 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 blocks against Maryland.
Wow, that's insane. So by 1997, the NBA draft is basically just waiting for Duncan to arrive. He was the consensus top pick, right?
Absolutely. And as luck would have it, the San Antonio Spurs, coming off a terrible season, they win the draft lottery. Destiny intervened. A struggling franchise suddenly has the cornerstone for a dynasty.
Talk about a lucky break. It's wild how a single draft pick can change a franchise's entire trajectory.
It really is. And Duncan's rookie season did not disappoint. He started all 82 games, averaged 21 points, grabbed almost 12 rebounds per game. Rookie of the Year, All-NBA first team, even earned a spot on the All-Defensive second team. Instant impact on both ends of the court.
That's an unreal rookie season.
Yeah.
And didn't he also form that dynamic duo with David Robinson right away, the Twin Towers, right?
Yeah. You can't talk about Duncan without mentioning Robinson. Their combined defense near the basket was legendary. And here's a good one. In just his second road game, Duncan goes up against Dennis Rodman, one of the best rebounders ever, and out-rebounds him 22 boards. That tells you everything you need to know about his dominance right from the start.
You know, it's amazing to think that he could have jumped to the NBA earlier, but he stayed in college, kept that promise to his mom to get his degree from Wake Forest.
It's true, yeah. And I think that decision speaks volumes about Duncan, about his character. Just imagine the pressure he must have been under to go pro early. Everyone's telling him he's a guaranteed star. But he sticks to that promise, and it really shapes his path.
And maybe even changed NBA history, you think. What if he had gone to a different team? Who knows what would have happened?
You're right, yeah. It really makes you wonder how things might have played out differently.
Okay, so we've talked about his talent, his crazy journey to the NBA. But what's really intriguing to me is his leadership style. He wasn't like a loud, in-your-face guy. He led by example. Through his consistency, his work ethic, that team-first mentality. He was the embodiment of the Spurs culture.
You got it. Quiet leadership, but so powerful. I mean, he holds the record for the most all-defensive team selections in NBA history. Says a lot about his dedication, his impact on that end of the court. He wasn't just about scoring. He was about every single play, every possession.
And that's what sets him apart, I think. He didn't need the spotlight, the accolades. It was all about winning.
Yeah,
And he did it with this, like, unbelievable humility.
totally. He was the ultimate team player, especially in a league that often celebrates individual achievements. He was a refreshing change, all substance over style.
You know what I love about these deep dives? It's the little stories, the anecdotes that really make these larger-than-life figures seem real. Did you ever hear about that paintball incident with Antonio Daniels?
Oh, yeah, the classic.
So they're messing around before training camp, and Daniels accidentally shoots Duncan right in the mouth.
Oh, man, I bet they panicked.
Right. Terrified of what Coach Popovich would say, so they come up with this story about Duncan falling. But Malik Rose, another teammate, he sees the injury and just bursts out laughing. The truth comes out, and it just shows you the kind of camaraderie they had.
It's a great story for sure. And speaking of Popovich, his quotes about Duncan are really insightful. He talks about how their relationship went beyond basketball, built on respect, a deep understanding of each other.
It's funny you mention that, because I was struck by how much admiration, respect Duncan had from everyone. Not just his teammates, but his opponents, too.
You're absolutely right. Even guys like Shaq, Kevin Garnett, known for their intensity, their trash talking, they had immense respect for Duncan. Shaq even admitted that Duncan figured him out. And Garnett found Duncan's stoicism really frustrating. Like Duncan would just say things like, "good job," after Garnett went on a rant. It would get under his skin even more.
That's hilarious. Duncan's calmness was a weapon in itself.
Exactly. It was all part of his mental game. He knew how to mess with his opponents without saying a word. Another example of his unique approach, a master of the mental side of the game.
It's incredible how his style impacted the whole league. He made that fundamentally sound approach popular. The footwork, post moves, defensive positioning, like a masterclass in basics.
And it worked. So many big men after him realized you don't have to be flashy to dominate. It's about those core skills, the fundamentals, the stuff that sometimes gets overlooked for highlight reel plays.
And that's a lesson that goes beyond basketball, don't you think? It's about focusing on the fundamentals, doing the little things right, and building from there.
Couldn't agree more. It's about consistency, dedication, striving for excellence.
So we've talked about his impact on the Spurs, on the league, his leadership, those incredible skills. But what gets me is, even with all the basketball focus, he had this whole other side. I read he was a big gamer, loved comic books, even played Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, yeah, it's true. And it's a good reminder that these guys, these legends, they have other interests just like us. It makes them more human, relatable.
Reminds you they're not just basketball players, they're well-rounded people with passions, hobbies that go beyond the court.
For sure. And for Duncan, those interests probably helped him stay grounded amidst all the fame and pressure.
Yeah, I think so. So we've covered his journey from swimmer to NBA legend, his impact on the Spurs and the game itself, that unique leadership style, and his dedication to the fundamentals. It's a story about so much more than basketball. It's about resilience, dedication, those unexpected turns in life, and staying true to yourself.
And for anyone interested in the NBA, I think there's so much to learn from his approach to the game and even to life.
Definitely. What stands out most to you about Tim Duncan's legacy?
For me, it's how he really redefined what it means to be a superstar in the NBA.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. He achieved so much, 5 championships, the MVP awards, but without all that flash, the ego, which, you see a lot with superstars.
Right, exactly. A true team player, a leader by example. His impact goes way beyond those individual awards.
And that's such a powerful message, especially these days, when there's so much emphasis on self-promotion and, individual glory.
Yeah, it's true.
He was like the opposite of the modern-day superstar, but in the best way. It's a reminder that real greatness, it often comes from humility, hard work, and being committed to something bigger than yourself.
Absolutely. It's not about the spotlight. It's about pursuing excellence, with integrity and that quiet determination.
It's like the takeaway for everyone, no matter what you're into. Find those fundamental skills and really dedicate yourself to mastering them, just like Duncan did with basketball.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's a recipe for real, lasting impact and true fulfillment.
Well, this deep dive into Tim Duncan's life and legacy has been amazing. We learned so much more than just his basketball accomplishments.
Yeah, it's been fascinating, peeling back the layers, seeing his character, his values, his impact on the game.
For our listeners out there, if you want to go even deeper, I definitely recommend checking out some of his highlight reels or reading up on that San Antonio Spurs dynasty. There's so much to learn and be inspired by.
His story is a classic, a timeless reminder that True greatness, it goes way beyond stats and awards.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Tim Duncan. We'll see you next time.